episode 592 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Tonight, for the first time, gonna be talking about an episode of WWE Speed on X. Yes, I know I'm a little late talking about this show, and gonna talk about tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite with all the fallout from this past Sunday's Dynasty pay-per-view with a world title elimination match. Trent Beretta's decision. Willow Nightingale's TBS celebration, a casino gauntlet, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship on the line, and Jack Perry and Tony Khan in the middle of the ring, face to face. All of that right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello, Wrestling Fanatics. Welcome to 360 Wrestling Fanatic. April 24th, 2024. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. As usual, on Wednesday night, going to be talking all about AEW Dynamite. But on this Wednesday night, got something a little different planned. There is a show, WWE Speed on X. It's been going on for a little bit now, but to be honest, I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. And today, for the first time, I'm late, I know, but I finally was able to check out an episode of WWE Speed. And I know this is going to be a very quick recap, obviously. Each match has a 3-minute time limit, and next week might even be the last episode. But gonna recap today's episode of WWE Speed. And I have to admit, because they didn't really plug the show that much on WWE programming, I knew about they were going to be short matches, but unless I didn't pay enough attention, but I don't remember this being a tournament format where the winner would be the WWE Speed Champion. And my question about that is this just since it is a tournament format, is this just a one and done thing? Or after they crown the first Speed Champion, are they going to start a new season right away? But on today's episode, the semifinals, we had Ricochet defeating J.D. McDonough. And yes, as I said, every match on Speed has a 3-minute time limit. And very short, obviously. But for the short time they were given, I thought Ricochet and JD in this one kept it fast paced and had actually a pretty good match, even though it was only 3 minutes. Or actually a little less than 2 minutes, I believe. Ricochet won the match in just a little over 2. So Ricochet going on to the semifinals to face, I know they announced this at the end of the show, I know Big Bronson Reed, and I don't remember. I know I should have took notes when I was watching, but so we will have the semifinals match next week, and then Ricochet will face the winner in that match after that in the finals of the WWE Speed Tournament. Like I said, I don't know if this is just a one-time thing or if maybe after the season they'll do another one. But to be honest, my first time watching, I actually like the idea of it to have a 3-minute time limit, keeps the match fast-paced, and like I said, it's just a one-match show, and actually quite entertaining. But that was my first viewing of WWE Speed. And now on to AEW Dynamite, which was live from Jacksonville, Florida at Daly's Place. Our commentators for tonight, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and the Human Suplex Machine, Taz. We start things off live at Daly's Place, and we hear the music of Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy. And we don't see him normally when he normally comes out. And then all of a sudden we do see him come from the entrance, and he is being attacked by Trent Beretta. Trent takes him into the ring, lays him out, and then, as on Sunday at Dynasty, he said he wants an answer from Chuck Taylor, so Chuck comes from the ring, and first, he looks like he is going to give Trent a hug. Just like the good old days in AEW, you gotta give the people what they want. But then he says, Trent, I always knew you were a piece of you know what. This is a podcast for ears of all ages, remember. And Chuck says he is not cleared to wrestle in this ring, but Rampage this Saturday night, it will be Chuck Taylor versus Trent Beretta in a parking lot fight. As I'm sure most remember, parking lot fights in AEW at Daly's Place. And then we get an AEW World Championship title eliminator match with the new AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland taking on Don Callis family member Kyle Fletcher. Really good match here. And Don Callis is on commentary, and at one point he gives Fletcher a signal. He says Melbourne. Then Fletcher goes out to the floor, looks under the ring, and then suddenly he looks like he has a change of heart, doesn't want to do it that way. And Don Callis says on commentary that he was actually supposed to get a table from under the ring, but he didn't do it. The match continues. Swerve hits the Swerve Stomp, defeats Kyle Fletcher, getting the win in this one. And next up, women's action. Mina Shirakawa taking on Anna Jay. Not a bad match here. Mina Shirakawa gets the win. And also during the match, Mariah May was at ringside. And then Anna Jay attacks both of them while they're about to celebrate with some champagne. And then we get the AEW Women's World Champion Timeless Toni Storm out to make the save. And then Serena Deeb makes her way out to the ramp, sits down next to the AEW Women's World Championship, and sends a message to the camera. She wants the Women's World title. And then next up is the Women's TBS Championship celebration for Willow Nightingale. She's out there with Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander, but it is interrupted by the CEO, Mercedes Moné, and things get a little heated. And at the end of this, Chris Statlander grabs the arm of Mercedes. She thinks it's Willow Nightingale, so she slaps her in the face. And then next up, the Casino Gauntlet, where the winner will get a shot at the AEW International Championship. We start things off with Switchblade Jay White and Dante Martin, and then Penta El Zero Miedo, Kyle O'Reilly, Will Ospreay, the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer, Commander, and Jay Lethal, the final superstar in the match. And this one is won by Will Ospreay. Will get an AEW International title shot against Roderick Strong. Should be a good match there. Next up on Dynamite, the IWGP Championship is on the line. Jon Moxley taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. Pretty good match here. Moxley picking up the win when he chokes out Hobbs. And then we see Konosuke Takeshita do the signal, hands around the waist, that he wants the championship. And now we have Jack Perry make his way to the ring, and he calls out Tony Khan, and he says everything he has done has been for the best of AEW, and he asks TK to shake his hand and reinstate him. TK does it, and then after the handshake, he raises TK's arm and then hits him in the stomach with the microphone. And the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada make their way to the ring. They act like they're upset, not happy with him. They help him up, and then for a second, it almost looks like they are actually going to hit Tony Khan with a BTE trigger, but then Okada stops him, and then he signals for something else, though. And the Meltzer driver, or actually recently they renamed it to the TK driver, laying out Tony Khan. Bryce Rensburg and Aubrey Edwards are the first ones that come out. And then after that, the rest of the locker room comes out to check on the condition of Tony Khan as Dynamite goes off the air. And that was tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. I thought pretty good show. Wasn't really expecting us to see Tony Khan in the middle of the ring. Definitely wasn't expecting him to see him lay it out in the middle of the ring. And even I forgot to mention is there's someone else we saw tonight that we have never seen on AEW television, or at least not that I remember anyway. Shaz Khan, he comes out to check on his son after that happened, and then Dynamite goes off the air. So overall, I would say was actually a pretty good episode of Dynamite this week, or at least in my opinion, it was anyway. And had some good matches. I thought the Casino Gauntlet was actually done pretty well. And like I said, was not expecting to see Tony Khan get laid out in the middle of the ring. And before I wrap up this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, I was able to watch last night's episode of Dark Side of the Ring, featuring Sensational Sherry, which some of the interviews that were on were Jim Cornette, Eric Bischoff, Medusa, her best friend, her husband, who she left when her son was only 3 years old to pursue her wrestling career, and her son was also interviewed for the show. So that is all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. I appreciate everyone who listens. In the comment section, you can go there right now and leave your thoughts on tonight's AEW Dynamite and also this afternoon's WWE Speed if you watched it. And I will be back tomorrow morning for the Thursday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. So hope everyone else who listened tonight will join me then too. But until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.